Yeah, well, I don't know, because I think they can be a little bit controversial in terms of how they can be seen as like, oh, they're taking the mick out of the movie or the person or the song, and yet at the same time, like for us growing up, like they were funny, and it didn't make you like hate the movie or whatever it was. I just found that it was sort of like another element to it. I mean, yeah, I never saw anything bad about him.
I mean, what comes to mind when we talk about that is like with Weird Al in particular, we discovered so many of the songs through listening to his parody of it. And in fact, there's like a whole bunch of stories of him because he would always make a point to, even though he didn't have to like get the artist's permission to do the song, even though like by law you're allowed to parody things, but he would get people's permission before he would release or make a parody of a song. And some people like wouldn't let him do it, which is insane to me. Like, and some people are like, yeah, do it. That's like an honor, which is what I would think I would want.
Absolutely.
Because it's Weird Al. Like,
but I think that's the thing, some people see it as like, for like taking offense or like taking the mick for some reason, which I don't understand. I didn't know he did that though. That's very cool.
Mm-hmm. Welcome back to the SpewnedIt Podcast. Hey guys, my name's Jensen. This is my great friend Joel. Today we are talking about parodies. Joel, why don't you start us off?
Mate, I want to jump in straight in with this, okay? Because one that comes to mind massively for me and takes me way back is Honest Trailers. It does what it says on the tin. It basically gives a slightly more raw and very brutal take on the movie trailer, but there's so much fun. A big reason why this stands out to me, and this isn't even one of the ones we're really going to dive into, but this for me was one of like the first ones that I can really remember of us as the lads really getting into. It's a stupidly hilarious content, and I'm a big fan, and it just provides another hilarious element to some of your favorite movies. So I would highly recommend it. It's called Honest Trailers. It's a lot of fun. Gents, when we talk parodies, what are one of the first ones that come to mind for you?
Oh man, ever since I found this series, it's a series on the Screen Rant channel called Pitch Meeting. I think I saw one and I watched like 50 or however many they had at the time, and there's literally over 100 now, and they're so funny. But what's crazy is that they all follow the same formula. So basically, this guy Ryan George on the Screen Rant channel has created his own like universe of self-referential humor, and it's just comedy gold, honestly. And it kind of has like a whole lore, and there's like lines that he'll say in every single episode, but like if he doesn't say it, then you miss out. Anyway, it's hilarious, and it's just always good for a good laugh, and with some smart kind of snarky commentary on the movie. And he does like new movies, old movies. Man, I cannot recommend highly enough the Pitch Meeting series on Screen Rant. And if you enjoy that, it's Ryan George is the guy's name. He has his own personal YouTube channel, which he does a lot of sort of similar stuff. But Pitch Meeting, one of my absolute favorites all time.
I tell you what, that's hard to do as well. Like as a solo guy, to be able to like hold your audience like that. Like I've got a lot of respect for that. Oh, yeah. Another one just to quickly like name drop almost on the movies front as well is Hishy, or How It Should Have Ended. Again, this for me is a massive classic. And I mean, gents, we've chatted about movies multiple times on the podcast, so it won't be new to you that obviously we're movie lovers, and we would often debate our own theories of how the movie could have or should have ended. But then so to add this into the whole element with the funny animations and everything was just hilarious, and led to some brilliant discussions. I feel like the best part is that they feel written entirely by fans, just poking fun a little bit at the films that they do parody, but it's never in a mean way. It's never in a way of like, oh, we dislike the movie. It's more of just like, let's just have a bit of fun with this. Now, these three that we've said are, kind of, we feel like you guys would have heard of these before. So what we want to go into now is like three slightly more classic, maybe slightly more almost underground names. And gents, kick us off with one of which, oh man, is an absolute classic for us both.
I'm not going to lie. I think of the three we're about to talk about, this is probably the only one I would define as underground, just for the record.
Okay.
The others are quite famous. But anyway.
Slightly more popular.
That aside, Auralnauts. Now, you maybe don't know the name of the channel, but you possibly would have seen or heard their work before. Probably their biggest video or most viral was a rap video they made of the character Bane from Batman in The Dark Knight Rises. And he's like, they just re-record the audio, and because his mouth doesn't move, it works very well. And they're basically it's two guys, and they're like audio specialists. They make their own music. They're very good at mixing and editing and all that stuff. So they kind of do, they do so many things. Like they do commercial like parodies that they've re-recorded over like weird commercials. They've made their own commercials. They have done movie commentaries where they like pretend to be the director and just have all these goofy things to say. The After Earth commentary is hilarious. But what I love them for the most, and the first thing I ever saw them do, was they have created an entirely new Star Wars universe in the form of parodies by taking the movies, recutting them up, redoing the dialogue, the audio, some of the visuals, and it literally makes an entirely different story, and it is so bizarre. So funny. Very bizarre, but really funny. And man, they just make the Jedi turn into like these just party crazed maniacs who are like ruining the galaxy. The Empire is like the good people. It's incredible. And I like anytime I see a Star Wars fan that I know, I show this to them, and I have had a lot of positive responses doing it, and they often have never heard of it. In fact, I don't think there's anyone that I have shown this to who I haven't already shown it to that has already known what it is, if that made any sense at all. I love these guys so much.
Absolutely. I mean, like you're right. To be fair, Jez, this is definitely the most, if not the main one that is underground of the three. And even like when we were sort of thinking and brainstorming for this, and Jensen said all or not, so I was like, oh my gosh, I had completely forgotten. But yeah, would highly recommend, even if you're not a Star Wars fan, just because they are hilarious. Just jumping in here, Jens, because one of my favorites is bad lip reading. Classic. Now, one of the main reasons I love it so funny is because they span over many genres, you know, whether it's from music to, you know, the movies that they do. The Hunger Games one they did was a classic. They did the Meeting of the Royal Family, which was hilarious. They did a Mark Zuckerberg talk one. They have provided endless laughs, and I think something that we grew up into as the boys, but it wasn't on like one of the top. It wasn't one of the originals that we really got into. We kind of grew into it. But gents, I believe that this was actually shown to you by Jeremiah. Is that true?
Yeah, he showed me. Oh man, it was something about beans. It was like a Justin Bieber song with a country artist. And it was Hot Jumping Beans, I think it was called. And he showed me that one and one other one.
I remember that.
And it was so ridiculous because they're just so talented with matching perfectly the lip flap of people, and it's like
scary.
It just looks like they're saying whatever they think, and I would love to see a behind the scenes of like their methods. I don't even know if that exists, but it would be fascinating. But absolutely hilarious. I think my favorite is the Republican debate highlights, where it looks like Ben Carson is just like whispering the whole time, and he's just absolutely like frightened on stage, and it's just so funny. And it is amazing how they do it. They do like the mouth movements, and then they incorporate like what they're doing with their hands, and it looks like they're doing so.
Yes,
it's
every time.
So funny, dude. So funny.
Yeah, just incredible. I think the one that I actually just gave this a rewatch just the other day was the royal wedding that we had here in the UK. And they redid that, and there's this conversation that the two brothers have, and I almost cry every time of how funny it is. So yeah, bad lip reading. This is probably one that I would have been surprised if you haven't at least heard of this, but if you haven't checked it out, would definitely recommend. Gents, to give us number 3 out of 3, what is the one that you would recommend and one of the classics for us boys?
Oh man, I mean, this literally spans generations of people, and if you haven't heard of this, I'm shocked, but two, also maybe feel a little bit bad for you. But anyway, we're here now to provide you with Weird Al, and I say that knowing that probably everybody who hears this has already heard of Weird Al, and my goodness, hopefully. What a talented man, and more music related. Of course, we've been covering a little bit more like kind of film sort of stuff, but he creates. I mean, he makes videos as well that also parody things, but his main draw is he creates probably the funniest song parodies of anyone ever, bar none.
Yep.
And like classics, White and Nerdy, Amish Paradise, Saga Begins. Oof. I could go on.
Oh.
But one of the things that was a huge draw for us as kids listening to this was that we loved the songs, and a big part of that was because we were allowed to listen to them, because even though the original ones weren't necessarily always clean, like for example Couch Potato, which is Eminem's Lose Yourself, but the parodies
That's
were
not exactly clean, is it?
What, Couch Potato?
Yeah, no, they were.
Oh, yeah, I was talking about it. Yeah, no. So anyway,
yeah.
like we could sing the song and enjoy the beat and everything, but be able to actually listen to it and play it in front of our parents without, getting our computers stolen.
No, really, really, really good. And yeah, just a lot of fun. And then, because the nice thing was is that it also led us into, because while being, big music fans as well, that obviously had very humble beginnings. And I think that this was one of those avenues that it like actually went into, which was huge. And so having that as an element that introduced us to other music was amazing. So Weird Al Yankovic, incredible, hilarious music. And the songs that he's selected, he's chosen them for a reason, because they're brilliant songs, the originals anyway. And so to have the parodies is just, mate, what an artist, what a guy, genius. That's all I got to say.
That's all you can say, really. Yeah.
Tonight on SpewnedIt News, minuscule hawk likely to win village show, mouse catches train across country, and our main news story tonight, surprising heavyweight championship between sheep and ape ends in controversy. The fight has been going on over the last hour and a half, and our correspondent on the scene, Jensen Anderson, is at the arena right now. Jensen, how are things looking?
Well, thank you, Joel. Things are absolutely in chaos right now. The sheep and ape bout was a magnificent fight right up until the 15th round, when the sheep brought his brother into the ring. And this is not some sort of staged event here, Joel. This is real. This is live. And standing right here behind me, as you might be able to see, is the ape is in tears right now, as the two sheep just absolutely pummeled on him, and somehow the referees did not put a stop to the fight. I think there was no rule stating that, in fact, another sheep could not come and assist if they were blood related, Joel. And this is just absolutely shocking news. And now we have a shared heavyweight championship here by two sheep, one of which we previously never knew even existed.
Fascinating, Jensen, fascinating. I'm glad that you're okay. Obviously, I'm looking at the rules here now, and you're right. It does state that as long as the sheep are blood-related, it's okay. However, I'm not sure that the same applies for the apes, as we could see in the previous video that the ape's dad, uncle, and 14 older brothers were also at the fight. Were they not allowed to get involved? What was their reaction?
That's an absolutely great question, Joel, and I think that's what the whole audience was wondering, as a matter of fact, because they could see the camera would cut over to the family, and they were just in tears watching their son and brother just get absolutely pummeled by these sheep. And I think that everyone was wondering, why don't they get in the ring? And I don't know if it was because they did not want to, or because they were unaware of the rule stating that they could. And I'm hearing now that they could have actually stepped into the ring had they been made aware of the rule. And I think that's just absolutely devastating. It will absolutely put a stain on this victory for the two Sheep brothers.
Well, there you go. I suppose you have it. The Sheep brothers are now the joined world heavyweight champion. Jensen, thank you so much for your time this evening, my man, and have a great rest of your evening. Stay safe. Don't forget, tonight on SpewnedIt News, we will be exploring the minuscule hawk that is likely to win the village show. The reason might surprise you. As well as that, the mouse that is catching the train across country. We'll be hearing from him slightly later on. For the moment, though, my name's Joel Brown, and this is SpewnedIt News.
Hey everybody, thanks so much for watching. Wanted to shout out mSonny on SoundCloud. That's MSonny. He's been doing our intro track, and he's got the new track as well that we're using for this season. He's been behind the scenes a little bit, but we've got his link to his SoundCloud in the description. Check him out. He's got some great tracks down there.
Yeah, massive shout out to Sonny, man. Absolutely wavy music that he is producing, so please go give him a listen. For the moment, though, guys, thank you so much. We're so excited with how Season 3 is shaping up, and we can't wait for more. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let us know about your favorite parodies and what are your thoughts on some of our recommendations, okay? But until then, God bless. We'll see you next week.